Counter press, think Liverpool, Klopp, heavy metal, heavy pressing, football, athletic, work rate. Regroup, I think of Jose. Get back into position, remain solid, and then attack on the counter. Both have their perks. Which one should we use? We're playing counter press in this game. As we play it on, Petkovic has got the ball one-on-one, not too bad. Plays it back, still not too bad. This is where you can start to see it. So as the ball goes into Andrew there, we've got 1-2 players about to go for it. As the game progresses a bit further, you can see now, we've got 1, 2, 3 players after the one. Players are starting to get dragged around a little bit. They're not in that structured shape in across the midfield like they were for Regroup. Played a bit more. Again, you've got 1, 2, 3 players all thinking about the one player. Still playing it on. There we go again. 2 players on the one player. Third player got an eye on it as well. So that means that this player over here is going to get a free. We're leaving someone in a gap. He's free as well. So if the counter press works, if you win it back, if you don't win it back, you can be a bit in the you know what. As we play it on, there's the free man. He picks him out. Nobody's on him because he's counter pressing this guy along with this guy. As it plays on, he plays it into the gap, leading to a chance for the opposition. So that's where you've got to be a little bit careful with counter press and take the rough with the smooth. Yes, it can help win the ball back higher up the pitch, but if you haven't got the players to do the counter press, it can leave you a little bit exposed. So here's one with Regroup in action. Okay, we'll see what happens when we kind of lose the ball. So as we run it on, goal kick to the opposition, in it comes. So we haven't got the ball there. Now if this was counter press, you'd probably see 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 players surge for that ball. But as it plays on, you can see that the first thing these boys do is get back into position. Back into position. Same with these boys, look, turn on the heels, back into position. As we run it on a bit further, the only player going to press the ball is the opposing player's opposite man. So Butterfield there, McNamee, closest player to the ball, he's going for it rather than 1, 2, 3, which in turn means we'll look more solid. We've got more players back, more players are marked up. Again, when it goes to Ben out there, the only player going to him is his opposition number. That's the fullback, that's my winger, 1-on-1 rather than 3-on-1. Less gaps for them to work in as the ball gets played forward. They've got nowhere to go and it ends up in a bit of a lazy, lackluster shot. So Regroup can do that. It can make you more solid. So if you're struggling, shipping too many goals, it's probably one to look at. So counter press or Regroup, which do you use? I would suggest that 90% of FM players automatically go for counter press because it's the more aggressive tactic to use. Whereas a lot of people could really benefit from actually taking a step back and using Regroup. Let's understand them first. So I've got counter press selected there. Basically the arrows are telling you what goes on. You lose the ball, all these players are going to run for the ball. So if the ball is in this area there, expect this man, and probably this man to try and win it back straight away. Great if you win it back. If you don't win it back, you're in a bit of a problem because you're going to be exposed in other areas. Now if you go to Regroup on the other hand, Regroup won't bother so much about trying to get the ball back straight away. So if for example this player lost the ball, the inclination for this player would not be to dive across and try and get the ball back. It would be to sit back, get back in position, get back and hold that bank of 4 in front of the midfield. So it's a little bit more solid than counter press. Now you shouldn't consider Regroup as a strictly defensive tactic. Obviously it can work for that, but it can also go hand in hand with an attacking counter-attacking system. If you look at these two here, we've got Regroup and counter side by side, and this is how it can work. If you lose the ball in there, for example, your bank of 4 is going to hit back, get back in position. Then if you win the ball back in this area, the banks of 4 is going to sprint forward and get into that counter-attacking position. If you're in counter press and you want to do counter as well, it's slightly different because if you win the ball back over here, for example, these players are going to be out of position, so are these, so they're not going to attack in a fluid 4 like that. So you're going to be attacking more in the same area as where you've won it back, if that makes sense. So to be clear, when you're in counter press, it basically says all your attacking players just hunt that ball down as soon as you lose it. So for example, if we lose it over here, Gibson, Sousa, Hatfield will immediately be all on it, so they'll be all dragged around here, leaving a bit of a gap there, which isn't a problem if you can win it back nice and quickly. So for that, you'll need the right type of player. So for a counter press system, you're going to need athletic players with good work rate, good teamwork, and then ideally some good tackling as well. Think about it, when they've lost the ball, they're going to have to then run to get the ball. So they want to be fast to get there. They want to be tackling good to win the ball back, and and they're going to need work rate, because if you're asking them to counter press the whole match, they're going to be doing that all match, unless you are a super high possession team and you don't lose it that much. For me, Regroup is misunderstood. It's seen too much as a defensive move when it doesn't have to be. I've used Regroup quite a lot this season and we're doing fine, believe me, for goals. Regroup basically means if we lose the ball in this sort of area here, these four will get back and just be back in this set formation rather than all bombing in this area to get the ball. That way, if we win the ball back, we're back in our formation, we can go again and attack again. It works well. It can also work for a defensive formation. If you think you're going to be under the cosh, you can use Regroup and a lower defensive line, meaning as soon as you lose the ball, these players will drop all back into there. You win the ball back, you can launch your counter attack. So it's got a double edge on it. It's a good technique to use for both attacking and defensive formations. So counter press and Regroup, how does it look like in game? See, for counter press, your players are actively going to search the ball as soon as it's lost. If your team loses it, they're going to straight on it, trying to win that ball back. Up to 4 players will hunt down that ball if it's in their area. So if it's on the left side of the pitch, perhaps you may have the left side midfielder, one of their strikers, 2 other midfielders, all going for the ball in that area. If they win it back, they'll immediately launch into an attack from that area using those players that have just won the counter press ball back. It can leave the team exposed if possession isn't won back straight away. So if the opposition team manage to play around you, there's going to be gaps where those players that were pressing have left. Ideal players for the roles will be athletic players with good tackling. So we talked about it earlier, fast, aggressive players with high work rate will be needed. Now Regroup, on the other hand, players will look back to get into team formation when the ball is lost. So rather than the 3-4 players all hunting the ball down, your players will think, right, I need to get back into formation, back into my midfield 4 or 3. One player will generally press the ball if they do lose possession. So if we lose possession, for example, on the right hand side, the right midfielder will then press the ball, while all the others will look to get back into position, into formation. If you win it back, that one player does win it back, the counter attack might be less immediately impactful than a counter press, because it's not going to be 4 or 5 players around you, there's just going to be that one. So a different type of counter attack might have to happen, a long direct ball perhaps. The team will be more solid but will lack as many options on the counter. Like we just said, when you counter press and you win the ball back, you may have 3-4 players in and around the ball that you can use, whereas if you're regrouping, it's more likely going to be one player who's won it back, so you might only have 1 or 2 options. Players with good decisions and positioning are ideal. Decision making, when to press, because you're not asking them to do it as much as a counter press, and positioning to get back into formation. So there you have it, that's my little roundup of counter press or regroup. Both have their perks. For me, I like to use both. It's situational on whatever match I'm playing. If I'm expected to win and really pumping home the advantage, I want to go with counter press. Games where I might have a little bit less of the ball, I may go to regroup, or if I'm on a sticky period where I'm conceding too many goals, I'll regroup. Or I'll use both in one match. I may start counter press, and as the game turns, maybe I want to hold on to a lead, I'll back off to regroup. Key point is, there's place for both of them. I feel like regroup is the one that gets a little bit left behind, but it should be used a lot more.